Alright guys, this is a special video once more, but because it's nighttime we do not have light and therefore is no camera on. What we want to show you is a post that we found on Spectrum and we want to go into that. There's a guy called Gold put his channel, the source of this video, he put it into the description. This is very we are grateful for that. Gives more kind of like authenticity to Gold to link the source of what he is kind of like reacting. And he is talking about MMO, and since we are talking here Star Citizen, let's hear the beginning of what he's saying. Let's turn on audio for that.
You pay to buy the game, and then you have to pay to have a subscription to play it online, and the game is useless by itself. Then you have to pay to buy DLC, and when new stuff comes out, your group has to all have it or you can't do it. And then they add microtransactions in on top. So
There it is, bro. Even the ancient wizard knows. Even he knows. This guy made Fallout.
hi everyone.
Yeah, this guy, Timothy Cain, was or is still a developer, and he worked on Fallout, and this is what Asmongold. But we want to see the original one. Let's see, and the reason is because Star Citizen put out a post tracking the most impactful bugs and issues. We want to have a little bit more context on our reaction to that post. So let's hear him out, but we go to his original one because this dude makes timestamps and we absolutely appreciate that. So we skip directly to finding a group.
Guilds were really poorly supported back then. These are some of the things I wanted to try to tackle in WildStar when I got a chance to make an MMO later. So just finding a guild could be tough. So I frequently just had a regular group of here's me and 4 or 5 people who would like to play regularly. But picking a day where you and 5 other people could always meet, that was hard. Getting them to all log in at the same time was a nightmare. You'd often say, let's play at 9. Of course, you'd log in at 9 and no one would be there. But by like 9:15, still some people weren't there. And then 9:30, some people are there, but now some of the group is off shopping. They're like, hey, I'm going to go buy and sell some materials or
Yeah, this is funny. The shopping aspect. We noticed that on some content creators, YouTubers, and influencers as well. If stuff doesn't go well, you go shopping. And we do that as well. Yeah, if stuff doesn't go well, we go shopping. Kind of interesting observation here. And he talks about the same. And he talks about the issues of finding a group or creating a group for that matter. And like he pointed out, yeah, finding a time where everybody has time too. And if you really rely on each single one of the group to accomplish the mission you set yourself, for example, it is almost not possible. And the same thing is what we experienced so far. We love the MMO aspect of Star Citizen massively, but teaming up, grouping up, it's a pain in the ass. And so far, we have regular parties with, let's say, 2 people, yeah, then it works absolutely fine. And it may happen that accidentally we are maybe 3 or 10, but it was accidentally. That means it's just how the party and creating groups in Star Citizen works. Sometimes it happens there are other people, but you do not interact with them. You do not do any mission with them. It's just like they are in the same party for some whatever reason. But every time when we actually wanted to do group up like he was talking about, then we had issues. Yeah, we had lots of issues, and we didn't do that much. But the last time we wanted to step into mining, and we wanted to go mining with a mole, and it took us 3 hours, 3 hours to get 3 people across Earth to get on the same shard into the same ship to travel from Stanton to Pyro just to torpedo down. At the moment we got there, 3 hours and achieved nothing but torpedo down from some rookie, not rookie maybe, some griefers, stupid griefers. Yeah. So this is our grouping experience. Skip over to the griefing. Yeah, talking about griefing. Griefing is nothing new in Star Citizen, or maybe it's not. It's something new in Star Citizen, but it's nothing new in the game worlds.
Griefing became a huge problem in Ultima Online and in EverQuest.
Yeah, he talks of a specific game, but it's in general in all MMOs. Griefing is an issue.
Now, don't get me wrong, people have been doing griefing forever. There was griefing on LP Muds. People used to grief on the Lynx games all the time. There was a game called Slime World that lets you find a mega bomb, and people used to go, throw mega bombs at people just to blow up them rather than take out the monsters. They were just trying to take out the other players. And yes, that happened. But when you're playing in the same room with people, they tend to cut that out after a while. Not in MMOs. Once people became anonymous like that, they became kind of like jerks. And the early MMOs seemed unprepared for it. But looking back at it now, I think what they really were unprepared for, they weren't surprised griefing happened, but they were surprised at the cleverness of the techniques people used to grief and the absolute sheer volume of the griefing that happened. People found ways to grief that.
Okay. There is one point we absolutely do not agree on him when he says when players become anonymous. Yeah. Because what we saw so far, just today we saw a video where Polaris gang showed up to PSAC, yeah, this is a word that we say, to torment a miner who was solo mining in his prospector on a moon, solo by himself. There was nothing else but just him mining. And the Polaris showed up and just attacked him. He defended himself and got crime stat for that. Yeah, for all those players who cry out for there is no safety, no security in Stanton. Yeah, you know why there is no security in Stanton, security and safety in Stanton. It is because of that, because it's game breaking. But either way, so he points out that is the anonymous aspect of being a griefer, and we say no. We say absolutely no. Those people who grieve on a regular basis, like they grieve here in MMOs, yeah, those who put damage and suffer to other players. These are weird sickos in real life, and they live it out in video games. Period.
They didn't anticipate. Even though you could mark it so like these players can't be attacked or killed by another player, they would do things like train a guard or get in combat with another monster and then bring it over near you. And now you're involved. And if they were higher level than you, they could train a guard onto you. The guard can't hurt them, but it would destroy you. That happened a lot. People also found ways to trick people.
Yeah, those tricksters we found as well, those who want to have a ride from somewhere to somewhere, and on the road you probably get hurt, damage, or whatever. We never experienced that by ourselves, but we saw in global chat quite some time. But the cleverness he is talking about is actually kind of interesting. Yeah, from a gameplay perspective, it is interesting. And we would say that the pirates are definitely no griefers in general. Yeah, the pirates have something like honor, whatever that means, but they have a codex they kind of follow to. And once you recognize that, you just basically try to oppose that, what they called challenge. Yeah, you need to defend yourself at the end, and that flames it even more for the pirates. Yeah, but the griefers just do not care.
Where they would say, "Hey, let's do a trade," and they put items in, and then you put your money up, and then they pull the item off and hit trade. And bam, you're out of your money. They would do things called corpse runs because if you die, they're like, "Hey, I'll bring your corpse to you. Just give me permission to drag it." And as soon as you give them permission to drag it, that also gave them permission to loot it, which you could argue was a really bad design. But a lot of people didn't know that. They just thought, "Oh, I'm letting them have permission to drag it." They'd then go find their body. They go grab their body and take stuff off of it. Even if they only could get permission to drag it, they would do things like drag it into a lava pool. So there was no way you were going to get it back. So now you've lost all your things. So even when they restrict it to just dragging, they can still grief you. People were clever. In some ways, I looked at this, wow, people spent half this much cleaverness in their real life. They'd be millionaires.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, that's probably the reason why we say, yeah, the cleverness aspect of those grievers, the creativity they came out with, this is quite interesting. Yeah. So this is the grieving, and then is the other thing, toxic companies.
It's always surprised me how many people did this. It wasn't a small fraction, especially early on. There were a lot of people doing it, and their fun seemed to come at everyone else's expense. So that was the worst part of it. It wasn't just that they griefed and had fun. Part of what they were doing was to make the game unfun for other people. And
Yeah, well, that's for us at least the definition of griefing in video games aspect. Yeah, it's not for their own fun. It's more to make other people suffer, create as much suffer as possible.
I got griefed once in EverQuest. Somebody did a thing where they tricked me into doing a group teleport with them, saying they pay me on the other end, and then they didn't. And on the other end, they tried to get me killed by dragging some guards onto me. And I got away, but it leaves this bad taste in your mouth like, oh, these people are bad online. And once griefing hits anyone in your group, it affects the whole group. You log in thinking you're going to do a dungeon, and somebody got griefed and lost their gear. And now you can't do this dungeon until you go on all these side quests to try to re-gear them. Later MMOs have gotten better at this, but again, people are clever and they still find ways of griefing. And then the later one was, the last one I want to talk about was online groups always seem to attract the most toxic player bases. Or maybe single player games have toxic player bases, but they just can't interact with you. But the multiplayer games do seem to attract the worst ones. And it's not just online where they're say and do all these horrible things. That you go to the, community boards and online forums and stuff, and people are just being awful there. And I know a lot of you have that lens of all companies are bad, so let's include the companies in this too. There are a lot of toxic companies involved.
Yeah, the toxicity, like he's talking about, we encountered that briefly because usually we are solo players or small groups, not more than 3. Just because of the point we said before, yeah, grouping up more than 2, it is just a pain in the ass. So yeah, the toxicity, we noted that as well, and we would reduce the toxicity to the root of ego, especially in Star Citizen, where everybody needs to have a bigger ship, because yeah, I mean the ship represents, not for all, but the ship represents the size of the ego. And we did some salvage. Yeah, it was more like salvage challenge, if you will. Someone showed up with an Idris, and there were four reclaimers and some vultures, and we had a Discord set up for that, so that we have an awful people there. I mean, from how many had we been? 10, 15 or something. There were 2 players like us who just want to basically have fun, experience Star Citizen at its best. Yeah, what Star Citizen has to offer at the moment, back then or still here. So this is the kind of guy who develops video games, and he has a YouTube channel. And he got 174,000 subscribers right now, and somewhat of 85,000 views from a video last one. So we can recommend his YouTube channel just because he talks of a developer's perspective. And you can see, yeah, like Asmund said, the old wizard, he's experienced. But there is another video that we want to show from him, and this is actually much more important. So this video is just for the context, but here is the title from his channel: Do devs know what gamers want? And this post here is very highly respectable move from CIG to us players, backers, pledgers, community, because they open up the channel officially on their platform, not like the questionnaire that we did in December. No, this is official. This is very, very official. They open up, and there is no multiple choice. You can get it out. Yeah.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about
Do devs know what gamers want? This video is a direct follow-up to my video last week. Do gamers know what they like? Before I made that video, I just mentioned I was going to do it in a comment section almost 2 months ago. And Lyre Noir said, personally, I think do devs know what gamers want is even a better question. And you know what? They're right. So both that video, so I made that video and then I made this one pretty soon afterwards. Keep in mind, these were made back in November. Not even that late November, kind of mid-November. So I don't know what the comments were
So November last year?
on that other one, and I have no idea what the comments are going to be in this one. But I think it's better that way because I want to give you the raw, unfiltered response to do devs know what gamers want? And here it is. No. No, we
No. No. Where the fuck should they know?
don't know what you want. We have no idea, seriously, what you want. I almost did this as a short. I was just going to do a short and go, do devs know what gamers want? Nope. And then cut it off.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And you can stop here. If you want to know why it is we're so absolutely confused about what it is you want, keep watching.
Yeah, we do that, but we can recommend it's just 12 minutes and 12 seconds. That would be waiting for the non-existent loading screen in Star Citizen, as you can see here. So easily you can watch. Yeah, there's nothing to see. It is just to listen.
Because I know some of you are like, it's stupid. We know what you should know what we want. We don't. Here's the longer answer, and it's all kind of can be summed up as because you don't know either. But
that's the most important thing. Do we, as player, know what we want?
You got to remember, I'm saying the collective you. I wish English had the collective you. Southern English does. Y'all don't know what you want. Let me dive into that. This is a deep dive on why y'all don't even know what you want, which is...
This is kind of interesting that a white guy says that.
Why we don't know what to give you. First off, many of you only tell developers what you hate. Great. You said what it is you don't want, but what is it you want? I have an entire video on how to give good feedback, and I'll link it below. But I can just say, when you keep saying, I hate this in games, I hate this feature, I hate these kind of characters and all that, great. What kind of characters do you want? If you hate sarcastic characters, well, guess what? There's an entire...
Okay, he's probably on... we try to adapt what he's saying onto Star Citizen and the state Star Citizen is in right now.
What do you want?
Yeah, this is the real question. What do we want? Be specific. And we are no developers, but we know how developers work. They need to have a specification. And if you say, oh, this UI is bad, that's no specification. And one thing is the other dude, Avenger 1. Avenger 1. This one. He made a video. This one. This is basically the result, 20 minutes. This is the result of the new advanced HUD. The consequence. But what is the cause if you take it from his perspective? He made a video about the HUD. And he was really, really specific on here probably. Yeah, he asked, new MFDs, are they good? The question itself, no. And he points
so as many of you may know.
And he says what he doesn't like. He says what he's missing. And he concludes somewhere in the video what there need to be. This is just an example. What there need to be. All the important aspects of flying in a specific situation needs to be there in the sight of eye. No turning the head down to see some panel out of screens. Yeah, he's really, really specific. And now we have it. Yeah, you can turn it on and off and all that. And yeah, okay, this is a special situation where you have a bright background you cannot see and read. And we experienced that as well, even with the new one. And these
Unfortunately,
scrollable
we have
touch
plenty of
bars, scrollable touch bars in a video game where you need to use your mouse and keyboard to fly. You do not have time to press and hold F just to move around the head to manage your power management. So this is basically what Avenger 1 did good, even related to the old resort here. He said, he didn't say that, but do you know what you want? Yeah. And Avenger 1 did exactly know what he wants, and he could specify it.
That's why you have to tell us what you want and not what you don't want.
Yeah, this is what Avenger 1 did. He pointed both out, what he doesn't want and what he wants.
But wait, there's more. Even when you say what you want, you're often extraordinarily vague. You will say, I want a better game. I want better AI. I want a better UI.
Yeah, that's what we meant with be specific.
Yeah, I'll just slide the better slider from okay to great on all of those.
Nice guy, like
I have an entire video on why developers need context to your feedback. That's never more truer than when you give feedback. When you give, especially positive feedback. If you don't say what you're talking about, it can be really vague. For example, what does better for you mean in a game? Or when you say, how is that AI bad? What are you talking about? What are they not taking cover? Are they just running straight at you shooting? What do you mean? When you say you don't like a UI, what is the friction point in that UI that you're encountering? What is it that's bothering you? If you just say that UI is dumb, it's not helping. And trust me, it's not just gamers who do this. I've worked with people who've literally said that out of their mouth. They're like, that looks dumb. Great, I'll get right on that. Sometimes though, and you know, I've talked about how some UI issues are really an underlying system mechanic issue. This comes up in the videos on encumbrance, where you can have a really good UI if your game supports encumbrance, but you take encumbrance out and suddenly that same UI is terrible because people can carry more. And suddenly there's a lot more things in their inventory, and the UI you were using for a limited inventory doesn't work for a UI with an unlimited inventory. So that's why you need to be very specific about what it is you didn't like. Do you really hate that UI, or do you hate the...
Yeah, and we will see that just with that example of inventory. Yeah? It is not the UI that we criticize. It is the underlying mechanism of inventory that we criticize.
You can vacuum up everything, and or do you want to be able to vacuum up everything, but you just wish...
And that is basically the reason why Salty Mike needs a wipe, yeah, because he cannot manage his own inventory. He needs to have it wiped it all. And it's like a small baby, yeah, a small baby who shits in the Pampers. Who wipes his ass?
The game would somehow organize it better. Be specific.
Yeah, be specific.
Here's the one that really gets me, and that many of you refuse to acknowledge. You all, again, I wish English had a plural you. You all do not agree on what a good feature is.
Oh yeah. And we want to see that afterwards in the Spectrum post. We want to find what he is pointing out.
go back and watch both of my encumbrance videos. They're linked below. Or watch the video I had on fast travel, or even the video I did on providing game difficulty, different options in there. Read the comments on it, which I know a lot of you don't do, and you complain that YouTube doesn't do a good job of sorting them. Just pick one of those videos, set it to show all the comments, and scroll for a few minutes. You will find that some of you literally say you will not play a game that is lacking a particular feature, and then keep scrolling, and you'll find people who hate games that have that feature. And it can be anything: fast travel, VO, walls of text, story mode. Some of you require it, and some of you skip games that have it. And you have
Yeah, good point. That's why we say if we encounter that kind of stuff in the post, it is the ego at the end that makes it impossible to find a common ground throughout the community, the player base, the backers, the pledges.
reasons for doing it. I'm not saying you're wrong. What I am saying is there is no possible way to make a game that will make all of you happy. What's interesting to me, and this channel has made me really acknowledge it, you don't even agree on the fact that all of you are disagreeing. Some of you don't acknowledge there are any other game players out there. There was a video I did where I said people frequently want better graphics, but a lot of you ask for better graphics. And someone said, and I quote, "No one asked for better graphics." I guess you never read a review and you don't go on any forum boards, because yes, they do. And keep in mind, better graphics, sometimes they're just talking about they want a higher resolution. They bought a 4K monitor and they're upset they're not getting a game in 4K. Sometimes they want a farther view distance. They're upset that it clips really early, or that there's always things blocking their view. They don't get a nice wide view of anything. Sometimes they just mean more creature variety or more location variety. These are all better graphics. These are all things that require a lot more art time, a lot more things to be loaded in, a lot better optimization of your engine. These are all going to the category of better graphics. And all of you, I guarantee, have asked for some form of better graphics at some point when you're responding to a question of what did you like and dislike about this game.
Okay, we figured that out why we have black bars left and right, because our screen resolution of Star Citizen is full 4K, but the monitor itself, it is only UHD. That is the reason why we have black bars over there. We got a new paint on our ship and we want to check out if that is still applied to, because our friend pledged for a paint, a livery for the poles. He could spawn the poles once, and the second ones he didn't. Oh yeah, check this one. The distance from here, from the ass up to the hangar, is 3.3 kilometers. Keep that in mind. And we go into the elevator, and people say this is no loading screen. But we also noticed that the elevator does not go vertical. No, we got a new ship. No. We lost our livery. Livery? Livery. No. So bad. We took a lot of effort. Yeah. Inventory does not work as expected, because this is what he was talking about, the loading screen. If we have inventory, and the inventory panels from, let's say, the personal is on the left side, it is on the left monitor. And the other one that we just opened is on the right monitor, and not, on the right side, for that matter. So this is why we love this multi-monitor setup, the immersiveness that Star Citizen has to offer, that according to this guy gives work for them.
Welcome to Romic Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System
Yeah,
check.
that's unfortunate. So the ship looked pretty run down, pretty run down, and we liked it. But what we also noticed is these panels do not show up properly. See? They do not show up. And this is probably a Robot Space Industries issue, because our friend has the same issue with the constellation Taurus. After a while, these panels do not work anymore. And he got even further. He doesn't have a proper working HUD. So he was basically flying blind, and that until he got a new ship. As soon as he got a new ship, problem solved. And that is a reason, this is a particular reason why people like we, and you can witness that, this is the reason why people like we claim a non-destroyed ship. So we do not really park on the pad because we want to leave the space open for everybody. Yeah, but this is the reason, one of many, why we do claim a non-destroyed ship. Because the ship is just not proper working. Okay. Elevators do not work, easy peasy.
Now keep in mind too, sometimes you guys talk about art style, but everything I just mentioned, even if the art style stays the same, you will need more polys and more textures and more everything just to give you more creature variety or more location variety. So just that means, it falls under the aegis of better graphics, but means more work, more artists, more time, more money. And many of you say, well, I don't really care about graphics. I'm one of you. Graphics have never been high on my list of what I care about in a game. But many, many, many players are attracted to a game by its pretty graphics. Even if...
Yeah, blinded by the lights is general. And we also one of those. We would say we prefer functionality over visuals, but the visuals are the attraction point, if you will.
If they stay afterwards because the gameplay is so good. Pretty graphics open the door. I've told some designers under me, sometimes it's like dating. Your head may be turned by the prettiness, but you stay because of the personality and the chemistry. So it's like that with games. Make a pretty game, more people will at least get their eyeballs on your game.
Exactly.
Then they're stay because of the mechanics. And then later on, they're deny ever even looking at your game because it was pretty. One of the things I want to point out is many of you argue against things that would make a game that even tries to provide more things for more players. And I've talked about how design by committee is bad, which I agree with.
Oh, listen that again. Maybe we misheard.
Argue against things that would make a game that even tries to provide more things for more players. And I've talked about how design by committee is bad, which I agree with. And usually...
What, the communities or committee?
Things that would make a game that even tries to provide more things for more players. And I've talked about how design by committee is bad, which I agree with.
Community.
And usually that leads to
committee, not community.
Making a game that's so bland and vanilla that no one can really have an argument against it, but nobody really feels like playing it. What I mean by that is many of you literally have argued that games should have fewer game options. I'm not even talking about game difficulty, just fewer game options. I have a video on game options. I'll link it below. Again, read those comments. Many of you are going, yeah, I hate when games have a lot of options. I don't know what to set. The designer should have decided that. Why are they making me do that? That just means they didn't have a strong vision. Not ignoring for the fact that...
Yeah, he points interesting stuff out.
So let me sum up, because I've been ranting for a while. I get that you, the individual, want what you, the individual, want.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we say. This is the ego. It roots in the ego.
But you have to realize that you, the individual, are not very good at giving developers feedback, and that you, the individual, are not everybody the game's being made for. Many of you aren't even in the majority, and I hear you. I don't think I'm in the majority. I like a lot of niche games. I've made a lot of niche games. And so that's kind of what I'm saying here is game development is hard on its own, technically. But this lack of consensus among game players about what they want takes that difficulty to a whole new level.
Yeah, and this is basically what CIG is facing. Yeah. So we want to dive into that blog post, a Spectrum post that CIG put out. So let's get into it. So this is a post that this guy, he kind of looks official. They had nice photo shoot in the studio with a top light. And this CIG at the end basically says they are CIG's officials. And it looks like as if he is director of community. Yeah, he directs the community. Interesting. But he himself says that he is a Carrack fan and a pirate. He's been there since 10 years. So it might be that he plays the game just because of that, but we do not have proof. Okay, plug. Easy. He texts, "Hi everyone. We are always gathering data collectors, from the issue console, internal tracking, and the wealth of player feedback across all channels. Our player experience and community teams." Yeah. So there is a player experience and community teams he supposedly directs, are dedicated to sharing these insights directly with development to ensure we are addressing what matters most. With our big push for playability, we want to leave no stone unturned. Oh, that sounds promising. So we want to hear from you directly. What's the most frustrating, game-breaking, or immersion-shattering issue you're running into in Star Citizen right now? And with right now, we assume it is these 4.0.1 live 950 something, yeah. Because they posted at February 6th. Today we have the 10th, 4 days. And thankful closing the thread. So this thread is already closed. But at least we can read. This is great. This isn't about feature requests or wish lists. Yeah. This is about the rough edges, the pain points, the things that may not always rise to the top of the issue console reports, but if addressed, would make a huge difference in playability. Few things to keep in mind, and this is important. This feedback will be combined with the other channels we use to track and analyze issues. While we can't guarantee fixes in specific order or timeline, your input helps inform priorities. Yeah, it's all about priorities and ensures we stay aligned with your experience. Okay, last sentence, last part of the sentence, a bit weird. To keep things focused. Yeah, focused. Let's keep things constructive. We'll be leaving this thread open for a few days before locking it. This will ensure we can properly review and compile the most relevant issues. Please only put one issue topic per reply. Reply on this particular post. And now we are too late, we cannot reply, but we assume that here would have been a reply button. We want to make this a regular initiative. Oh, this is awesome. So compared to the survey we did in December, they want to do it on a regular basis. So that can be used as an effectful instrument but can also sending down because we do not see the progress of fixing mentioned issues. Surface key point initiative. So we can continuously surface key pain points that may not necessarily have as bright as a spotlight on them. This is interesting, yeah. So there is the issue console, and that is a fascist system where too many people need to have the same pain point, need to be aware of their topic in order to upvote and or even contribute. And there are some players, influencers we noticed, they have a community built by themselves through YouTube or Twitch for that matter. And when they do a video, a proper testing video, Mr. Kraken is one of those. If you do proper testing videos and you do verify the issue and you try to provide workarounds and then do an issue console and talk about that and link the issue console so everybody would vote up that particular issue ticket and may get attention from the overlords. But this one is a new channel to open up, which is great. Thank you all for taking the time to reply. Closing the thread now so our team can compile a list and cross-referencing with our existing QOL targets. Oh, so we talked about that in our streams in the past few days, sometimes. The QOL, quality of life, as they mentioned in the last CitizenCon, I don't know about what life they are talking about. Whose life should have quality? What we would reference here is quality of service, yeah, because we acknowledge every single time we click on launch game that we acknowledge the term of service that Robert Space Industries LLC and Ltd provides to us, players, backers, pledgers, community. We want to have quality of service. We are not interested in quality of life. We want to have a better service, and that better service would also mean better the playability, stability, functionality, all the stuff that the other old wizard was talking about, yeah. But we try to be specific. So yeah, we got in total 268 replies probably, or at least reactions, and there are some evocadis, thumbs up, and see more reactions. Okay, so some of Switzerland, Germany, no, whoever. So the most interesting stuff would be probably these. Why do you put this kind of stuff up there? So we want to go, to get a frame here, we want to go to the replies primarily. Not all of them, just some of them. And we will do comments on them. So the first one is this Daniel Danielson. Okay, Norgik. Elevators. Good point. Edit snarkiness aside, the transit system. Then he be specific on the elevators. Yeah, and this is actually a good point that he points out. Can we upvote? No. Every single player, it doesn't matter where you log in except your own ship. Everywhere you need to traverse elevators. And if the elevators do not work, you do not play. Game breaking. Absolutely game breaking. We experienced that quite some time, that we cannot go into elevators. Not go into elevators. We experienced quite some time being in elevators, cannot go to where we put the button. And sometimes even we cannot go into the elevator because it doesn't arrive. Yeah. So elevators is a huge thing, and it was back in 323. It was kind of like the beast elevator. Yeah, it smacks you, and it's still it doesn't smack you, but it's just game breaking, absolutely game breaking. And there is emergency ladder. Yeah, this is and this is what he said. It's not about feature request or wish list. Point out the elevators, okay, point out. And then list examples from the hab down to the lobby, from the ass up to the hangar. Elevators, everywhere elevators. If they do not work, if you cannot make it out of your hab, out of down to the lobby, if you cannot get into the hangar, game breaking, absolutely game breaking. So totally worth these 878 upvotes. And there is another one. This also Daniel didn't get it. He didn't get what this post was about. They need to put fire escapes in. It's not about feature request or wish list. And see, so the old wizard that we saw before, he pointed some stuff out, and we see it manifests that this issue that the old wizard was pointing out is actually a real thing. Then the next one, Pleiades. Yeah, this guy replied to the first post, which is even more stupid. As they said in SCL, stairways won't matter because you still can't get to your hangar. The hangars are instanced, and so it's created when you click the elevator button. Yeah, this is a stupid excuse from CIG. Typical. If that instanced hangar is being created at that very moment you click the elevator button, yeah, just put a door in front of the elevator, in front of the hangar, where you can push, and then you wait until the hangar is instanced, and then you have a door you can traverse, and you are in the hangar. Yeah, call it for that matter emergency stairways. Yeah, one door you traverse, you come into a hallway, there's another door on the other side that is just there for having the excuse of loading screen. The first button from the first door is basically create the instanced hangar. Then you need to walk towards the second door, and in this time you can load in the instance hangar, but you need to traverse a second door. But have you seen the distance between the ass up to your hangar? Yeah? Have you seen that? I repeat, stairs won't matter. Yeah, Pleiades. Not only would they have to be 2 kilometers long, but you will have to create an instant hangar and get warped. Yeah, these 2 kilometers, good point for him. But anything else, just nonsense. And then the moderate. Stairways do matter. They would allow for alternative options, could even replace elevators for some parts of the game. Places like hospitals and habs. Those are buildings, and while it may suck to take 15 flights, probably jumps, of stairs to get to the bottom of the... Yeah, well, he would be the one who walks these 2 kilometers and probably even 3 kilometers, depending on where you are, because it would be doable. Hey, you stupid prick. Whenever there is an elevator, we take the elevator. We do not walk, and neither we would walk in a virtual space simulator. Come on. Stairwells, hallways to pads would still allow to transfer to a location outside of the stations, city where someone could pick you up. Yeah, this is something that we have in New Babbage, that there it works. Most of the space stations in Stanton's have open pads, so that works. But yeah, you will need to ride the elevator to get to that pad. And again, would you walk 5 kilometers? Yeah, well, moderate would. while stairs hallways can't get you to an instanced hangar directly, put an airlock at the end of the stairways. Yeah, this is what we said. Put 2 doors. First door is that one that loads the instant hangar. The second door is just visual representation and all good. And those are all a bunch of new features that are simply workarounds for something that needs to be fixed anyways. Yeah. How about they just put every resource possible and fix the instant spawning? Instant spawning, so this isn't a problem. This is an interesting question, right? That instant spawning is also called personal hangar. And that's what we always said. These are not really personal hangar. Anyway, so they are discussing, they are debate on something what was not requested. And this is something what we will say, this community. And this is one what the old wizard was pointing out. We, the player base, we do not know what we want. We do not have a common sense. We can say, okay, elevators, we have common ground. Point. Period. And then, Deniesel, Danielson, blah, 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 blah. Do we have someone who actually replies to the initial? Elevators, the kind that moves the player around from location to location, are part of the transit system as far as I know. Not sure if the instanced hangars are. Snark aside about stairs. There's still about stairs. Do we have this one probably? Yeah, there is a space in between. Kappa-toast. The inventory, yeah, we agree on that. The inventory related bugs, not being able to interact with it, delays or items being lost, yeah, to the either is one or the biggest for me, as it is just outright prevents me from playing half the game, Cain 2 FPF missing, oh yes, trading nor collect any loot, let alone eat and drink, oh yeah. When the inventory doesn't work, it's for me close the game. No, it's not time to close the game, it is game breaking. This is the killer for grouping up too. It is drags the whole party down to resolve it. Yeah, totally agree on that. This, yeah. And then he is interesting. He points out display info 3, there seem to be information. And when we as players, backers, pledgers, community need to troubleshoot that kind of stuff, and we figure out workarounds, that means we found probably the root cause of that particular issue. So why is CIG is not fixing it? Yeah. And like we mentioned a couple of times in our streams, they do not have any intention to. And interestingly, Detox was talking about that, because we thought Detox would be a shiller, and he maybe is, because he got paid in some way or another. He got paid for the stuff he's doing. But here it was this one 8 days ago.
You know, there are quite a few different ways to play Star Citizen now.
Yeah. No, it's not that. It was a live session. Not sure. He was talking about it. He was actually talking about that. Why CIG has no intention to fix it? Why do developers have no intention to fix it? Why does the management has no intention to fix it? And that is because of us, the backers, the pledgers. Okay, so that is a good point. Got also, 619. Game breaking. Then Petxing. Mission markers or quantum beacons for missions. Yeah, okay. He's a gamer. He's an actual gamer. And he's not specific. In no way he's not specific. Any means. And then here's also a space. So next one. Ships saying they are destroyed when I park. So, okay, to be fair, this is a pain point. And he cannot articulate a proper sentence. That is an issue. But we assume that he is pointing out the bugged missions in general. And we can say from the 3.23 version where we started out, there was plenty of delivery contracts that are bugged. And that got us frustrated because we spent a lot of time as a newbie, as a rookie, in delivering these boxes, packages, just to find out that the very last of 7 doesn't work because it is a fucking stupid drop-off box. So, and we said in our streams, the easiest and simplest way to resolve this issue is by removing these contracts that are bugged. And they did, at least in 4.0. That's why we have so less contracts available. We only have salvage, mercenary, bounty hunting, priority, maybe some locals. There are not many contracts available. They downsized actually. And we can say, okay, that should be an increase of quality of service or quality of life, but also reduces that what Star Citizen is all about. The opportunities they have to offer, and they limit the opportunities. Okay, so Schwanzbieser. Then we have a space Meckle. Ships saying they are destroyed when I parked it. Skill issue, making me lose all my cargo storage and the like. This is something that we can agree on. Like we said before, our livery from our ship was completely run down because we used the chip heavily. And then, now we got a new ship. A new ship that has functional errors. So either Robot Space Industries is a ship development that cannot develop proper ships that can be run for 1 week, 4 hours each day. 7 multiplied 4 is 28. 28 hours straight. And the ship has malfunctions. Okay, so, but this is the point, There is absolutely zero trust in anything of storing, saving, leaving the hangar right now, or since we played Star Citizen 3.23, we do not leave the hangar unless the ship is emptied out or we have stuff in the ship we do not care about. Before 4.0.1, the ship was disappeared when we went to the medical bed, and we assumed it is a mechanical layer underneath that makes the ship despawn from the hangar when you go into the medical bed, because the main routine, what happens when you wake up in the medical bed, is your ship is not there because you died somewhere. And this is something what we could accept. Never go to the medical bed when you have a loaded ship into the hangar. But meanwhile, and at the beginning it was only at area 18. You could, if you went to the city in area 18, as soon as you hopped into the tram, your hangar was gone. It was not the medical bed, it was the tram. So we knew, okay, in area 18, unload the ship. And do that when you have a fully loaded if you have a fully loaded 890 jump with 1 SCU boxes, you need to unload everything. Either way, so now what we experience in different space stations, as soon as you leave the hangar, you might lose the hangar marker. And when you come back, your ship is not on the pad, it is stored. At least it is stored. But zero trust in any of this. And that's why we cannot proper roleplay, just because it's not a reliable system. And then they talk, I get the issue commonly where I land a ship in a hangar, and when I use ASAP terminal to store the ship, it says on pad and claim. Yeah, a lot of people, not a lot, some people did some videos where to store your ship. Do you store the ship in the hangar, or do you store the ship in the ASAP terminal? And we say, do not store the ship. Just because there is an unanswered question. Do not store the ship when inside the hangar. Because when you come back the day after, the ship will be still on the pad, even if the ASAP terminal tells you otherwise. The only one thing that is reliable is the state of destroyed. When it is destroyed, there is no ship in your hangar, and there is no ship stored at the location you are in. Okay, and that is goes. Okay, planetary cargo elevators always been broken and unusable. That's not true. It is not always. And it is also not the planetary cargo, it is the moon elevators primarily. Primarily, yeah, secondary planetary as well. And what we noticed is from 324 up until now, we experienced somewhat of 10 patches. And in 324, they launched the hauling experience, yeah, the hauling empire. And since then, after 10 patches, we have bugged elevators all over the place. And we figured it has nothing to do with the elevator. It has nothing to do with the shard. It has nothing to do with the wind that we have to experience there. It has nothing to do if the players cannot wait until the elevator animations and the non-existing loading screen is finished. We tried every single aspect out. Even we did with a party member. We went to a place to do hauling mission. We went there, checked the panel, and it looked like as if the panel would work. So we ran into the terminal to buy commodities, while the other player went to the very same elevator terminal to load the cargo we already got from the contracts, and he couldn't. He couldn't. Elevator stuck. So that means it is not the player that cannot. Okay, it is the player that cannot, but it's not a player issue in that matter. It is not the elevator issue. It is not the wind issue. It is not the shard issue. And it is not the location issue. These not working elevators are just randomly. And that is just the analysis that we did. And that is probably the reason why CIG has some problem to actually fix that. The only ones that actually work reliables are these in space centers, distro centers, space stations, distro centers, and cities. And if you have cargo that doesn't spawn in, yeah, you took a contract to pick up cargo from the location you already are in. In general, it works, but sometimes it doesn't. So pick up contracts from not where you are right now. This one for me, this was meant to be the Cargo Empire patch, and it is virtually impossible to go through with cargo hauling missions or trade. No, virtually it is possible. We made it into the experienced rank by now, and we will say after 1.5 months. Yeah, with 2 accounts. So each of them went separately to experiencing. It is possible. It is not always possible to do a contract. And we did that as well. We went a couple of times to these RCOP moons where we found the most not working elevators. And we did server hopping, we did chart hopping, we did everything what we could imagine. It is a matter of lucky accident when it works. So yeah, it is possible. But it's, like he said, Cargo Empire, 10 pages later. I'm a hauler. I have stopped playing until this is now fixed, or at least a lot more stable. Hours and millions wasted, on trying to do hauling missions. You do not waste millions when you do a hauling mission, but hours, yeah, definitely. Where you get to a destination and the lift is bugged. Observation in case a dev ever looks at this. It always seems to be when another ship is locked out at one of the other lifts. It always seems to be when another ship is locked out. A ship cannot log out. And with commodities, trading, the game has just deleted about 6 million worth. Yeah, totally agree on that. Commodities on me in the last week. Totally agree on that. Yeah, and exactly. Also last week. Either when I tried to transfer them up to the lift, down to the lift, and yesterday when I went to sell them, it just said processing. Yeah, that it was the last time. Totally agree. Yeah. But you idiot, you did a reply on him. He made a proper sentence. He pointed the pain out, but it's not specific. This would be specific, but it's not a reply to what they have been asked here. And you see, we need to scroll. Poof, fuck, and they need to make a priority list out of this. Quantum travel is my most recurring pain point. Yeah, we totally agree on that. With having a realign non-stop. Okay, not non-stop, but many stops. Stopping between server boundaries. This is an interesting point. Not getting QT markers for missions causing me to have to abandon them. Never abandon any contract, man. Easy. So, yeah, we totally agree on that. We would also consider that as game breaking because quantum travel is beside the tram, the maglevs, the most important way of transportation. And it is not really game breaking because it works, yeah? Non-stop, it works. This is exactly the issue. You need to stop a couple of times until you can realign. And even if you made it into a quantum travel, there will be another stop. You cannot jump from one point to another just like that. No, it stops. And the reason why it stops, like he mentioned, it is between server boundaries. No, the server is no issue. It is server meshing. We never had that kind of issues before server meshing was implemented. There was none. You can jump from one point to another and it worked. You had to wait 8 minutes. Okay, that's just because you had a bad quantum drive, but you had one jump. All good. But now we have way faster speeds. The longest we measured was 6 minutes from somewhere Microtech down to Crusader, maybe even less depending on the ship. But we cannot jump in one point. And usually when we know, okay, we have 6 minutes of travel time, we do something else. We go to do laundry, we do cooking, we do cleaning up the mess, we do go out for smoking or whatever. But when we come back, we just traversed 400 megameters of a journey of 12 up to 50 gigameters. It's absolutely not reliable, this stuff. And this is just, at least we cannot prove that it is server meshing. But since they announced that there is a sort of server meshing implemented in the live server, since then we experienced exactly that particular thing. And the other thing is that realigning, a good old friend told us, turn off the coolers and it would work. And we did that and it worked. So we removed the coolers completely and it works. Yeah, non-existing loading screen. If you need to log out and log in to continue where you had been, what kind of game is that? I mean, just the fact itself. And CIG should ask themselves as well, when players need to log out and relog in order to continue what they did, what does that say about the quality of service? Yeah, we impersonate CIG. We are not interested in quality of service. We are interested in quality of life because our life is more important than the service we deliver. Enemies not spawning, who cares? Okay, but it is his main point. And this is something what we mentioned before, and we have to say we are now in the middle of the scrollable page. This is the very first reply to their request that we can say this is an ego problem. It is a individual player problem. He has this issue and it is a pain for him and only. Okay, maybe 300,000 more. Not spawning at all or spawning dressed as wrong faction NPC pyro specific. Oh yes, I could be a game changer. Hey, the other points are game breaking. Man, set a rule. Well, Hanashi. Set a route in Starmap is sometimes not working. It's very frustrating when you set a route and Starmap resets the route. Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely agree on that. Too often. Way too often. We would say it is depending on the sessions. Once we are in a session, it doesn't work. But usually it works. And when it works, it works. But we have way too often session when it doesn't work. So we need to navigate in visual. Yeah. And especially when you cannot see the destination, just these blue markers depending on the HUD. And then you need to look for your specific destination. It is annoying. It's not game breaking in general, but it's stupidly annoying. And the star map in general, the star map in general is just bad. And yes, we know we are typically unspecific with that, but the star map is, maybe we do a separate video on the star map. Oh, or when you want to find your friend, but it's impossible to calculate the quantum. Yeah, there was a time they did the calculation for yourself. So you had a reliable system that prevents you from jumping to a place where you have not enough fuel. But now you can see how much fuel you have. You can go to a pad, refuel, you pay, take off and continue your travel, and you will be stranded because the refueling did not work. The ability to complete missions. Yeah, this is something interesting. Yeah, the star map is the underlying mechanical architecture that prevents you from. It is not the routing issue. The ability to complete missions from not being able to store cargo to enemies not spawning. Yeah, this is actually what another reply from that one. Enemies not spawning. Mission marker not spawning. And probably this is something what CIG would prioritize because there had been 3 people who mentioned the same. Falling through the ground, yeah, huge issue. Just kills the desire to redo everything that was done for setup. Yeah. So much of Star Citizen is a time sink. Oh, absolutely. But the unforced that CIG voiced onto its player are real deterrents to playing, testing, and growing our play. Oh yeah, he's completely right. In general, yeah, he's completely right. But it's not only the falling through aspect, but the falling through aspect is we suspect, especially in Pyro, we suspect that it is intentional that you can glitch through the map. Sounds weird, and it is. But it is like in CIG's, in the Buddhist philosophy. life is suffer. And when CIG is talking about quality of life, then they want to ensure that you suffer. Preparing, traveling, finally arriving at the location and falling through the ground. Yes, that is something that we experienced quite some time. Items, weapons disappearing when moving or equipping stuff in. Yeah. Especially when you do shoot and loot. Shoot and loot does not happen. One of the biggest issues has been inventory locking up. Specifically, the backend seems to be unable to resolve for the. Yes, he points something out. It is the backend, the architecture, the function itself of the inventory is wrong. Bad design, as we would say, because if you compare the freight manager with the inventory system, it is basically the same. It is just the UI that it is different, but the mechanics underneath is the same. And so that's why you cannot select all, move all in the freight manager. And that's why you have sometimes items not shown, sometimes items doesn't move, sometimes you cannot stack items upon each other, and then you have a reload, in the non-existing loading screen stuff. The inventory is bogged, and we saw it, interestingly, just in one account. There had been so many items in the inventory since they released 401 live. Means preview ended and now it's proper live. We have so many placeholders, so many clothes and whatever that are just placeholders that is unmanageable. We cannot drag and drop the items out of the inventory. Okay, we can try to move it into a box and get rid of the box, but yeah, and that's why. And we mentioned that before in our streams, talking about the need of wipe. Salty Mike needs to sorry, Salty. When people cry out for wipes, especially inventory wipes, but also complete wipes, it is like a small baby. A small baby shits in their pampers. Who wipes their ass? Not themselves. If someone cries out, we need to have a wipe because they are unable to wipe their own ass, someone else needs to come to wipe the ass. And the other hand is when a developer says we need to have a wipe, then it is the confirmation that the architecture of that inventory system has a bad design. Next point. Desync between players and the server, including when landing near outposts and gear plan. Okay. Being able to refuel and rearm along the repairs reliably were inconsistent sometimes. Seems some ships are worse for this than others. I do find... Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. This is the reason why people claim a non-destroyed ship, because it does not work, because the game does not work. You cannot refuel, you cannot repair properly, like we did. Yeah, and since they had this duplication stuff, it's even worse in the verse. Losing items and ships that are correctly stored in LTP. Reason self-explanatory. Okay. Correctly stored. What we experience is we pledge items and that's it. We don't have it. We pledge a ship, a 325A customized. We paid even more than the standard model would have, and we don't get it. We do not complain about that because we got another ship which conveniently fits into the game style. So, okay. But we did another thing. We pledged a livery for the polls for our videos we have planned. It came out with the livery. And we wanted to find out how the pulse looks like without the livery. So we claimed a new one, removed the livery, retrieved the pulse and came out reddish. And then we claimed another one, and now we lost delivery. And if we would have spare money to waste on CIG, we would do the exact same thing for the cyclone, just to find out. But we do not have money. If you have money and you want to give it us, give it us. We want to test it. But more likely it is losing item stuff, yeah. And this is something what it was an issue since all along. If you pledge for gears, you lose it because it's just the design of game. Subscriber gear, subscriber goods, and all that. I mean, delivery. The ships we pledged for, we don't get it. All this stuff. Being too small as a female character, use a medical computers to heal injuries. Ah, is that the case? Is that the actual case why we could not, at that short amount of time we went around with a female character? It's pretty much all of them besides just the terrapin. Nurse are included. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Transit issues always being the worst issue every PlayStation. Yeah. If we would have been CIG, we would have removed that pause. Because if you list more than one, it will be removed. Polaris ramming exploit, insta-killing it. Cannot QT to missions, mission markers broken. Falling through planets, objects. Ship combat, aiming feels bad and inconsistent. Yeah, this is for space combat, okay. It looks like as if there is a huge difference if you have ship combat with NPCs or PvP. Hi everyone, thanks for all your replies so far. We really appreciate your feedback. This is interesting, right? In general, there are not many game-breaking issues mentioned here. Only few, the elevators, we totally agree on that. We also would say the tram to the spaceport is a no-go. Inventory, from all those points listed here, there are only two we, as a developing house, what we are not, would address internally. The inventory system and the elevators. No, in the other word. Elevators and inventory system. And that's it. Replies on something. Again, the Kappa toast, inventory related bugs. We totally agree on that. This has killed anything I have enjoyed doing in the game. What? Open up inventories? Drinking? Eating? I hope these near to the top tier list, top of their list. Yeah, and not just bugs. From quality of life standpoint, Star Citizen's inventory is lagging so far behind even the most basic inventory function. We completely agree on that, Salty Mike. But we do not hope. Yeah, we do not. And no, we do not. It's quality of service. All right, this is it for now. It's been longer than expected, but yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next time.